JustinFREAKIN, the formidable voice in the culture. Hey Justin, are you trolling?
帅。
Come on, man.
This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol Live, where my living room is so bright I have to wear sunglasses. Seriously, what's coming on is right in my fucking face. Yes, just another day in mass shooting USA. This time in Kansas. What's the matter with Kansas? We're gonna get into that. I got tragic stories. All kinds of bullshit tonight. Dustin, DJ Dub, so glad to see you. Welcome in, my friends. I got the mom of the 19-year-old that was on the sub. Apparently she was on the Today Show. She be pissed, as well as she should be. as any mom would be. However, I also have this story of a mom in Illinois who instructed her son to go kill a guy at a hot dog stand. That happened. More transportation stories. We're going to talk about a tanker in Maryland that overturned, causing businesses and homes to be evacuated. A roller coaster in Sweden came off the rails, killing one person, injuring several others. I believe we have video. A tornado in Indiana. Wild fucking footage. Only one person died, and it's a wonder, because wait till you see the video. Hell of a twister. You guys like Dan Bongino? Are you guys fans of Dan Bongino? The former Fox News host, who has since been banned from YouTube. He also got banned from a restaurant over the weekend. His ass got thrown out. I fucked his name up so many times last night. Prigozhin. That is the name of the Wagner leader. Tried to stage a coup against Vladimir Putin. You should never make fun of people when they know the meaning of a word or they know what they're talking about, but they can't pronounce it, because that means they read. I actually saw that a year or two ago, and I was like, you know, very true. I agree with that. Because that was the reason why I had no clue how to say Prigozhin. I read my news most of the time. Do a lot of talk radio, but that's mainly opinion shit. I read my news. I'm kind of old-fashioned that way. Being old-fashioned, feeling kind of old-fashioned with the far right coming to power in Germany. The German government calling for tolerance. If you're aware of the paradox of tolerance, that's probably also winning big in Greece. Speaking of Nazis, the Club Q shooter. Sentence today. Flash, good evening. Emma did indeed conquer the Beanie Dome, or at least I thought she did. I've got people on Twitter right now trying to tell me that she got fact-checked in real time, and I was like, what'd you get fact-checked on? Here, I'll show you that conversation here in just a second. Let me give you your meme of the day. Kudos to Elon Musk for accomplishing the impossible. He got folks to cheer for Mark Zuckerberg. And whoever made this did a really good job photoshopping Elon and Marky Mark into this. That may actually be a picture of Marky Mark, and then Elon's, I should not insult Mark Wahlberg. Danielle, good evening. I should not insult Mark Wahlberg that way. I don't know what the hell kind of bullshit Warlord's posting over here in the Discord. He posted a thing, and I saw Biden's picture. I wondered, I've heard right-wingers, apparently Biden had a gaffe today. What's new? But something about he sold state secrets? He said that he stole state secrets and sold them or some shit? I don't know. I doubt it. I think right-wingers are full of shit. The glory of 4chan. Okay. Day 487 of the 3-day special operation to denazify Mexico. Mexico has launched a counter-offensive against U.S.-held Tijuana and is suffering 500 to 1,000 casualties daily. Joe Biden and Mark Milley try to dissolve the McDonald's PMC. Yeah, he did. He said God save the Queen the other day during a speech, and like, no one really knows what he means by that, but who gives a shit? I highly encourage you. I'm going to read that here in a little bit. Go to the Discord, because there's way more of it. I'm going to have to do enough reading during the show, and the show's already going to be long enough as it is. I seriously need to get off of here early tonight because I got so much shit to do. I keep getting hired for more and more work. I had a dude message me today. It was like, I didn't even create a posting. I just saw you and I wanted to talk to you. Okay, cool. I hop on a call with him. I've got the job. Like, Jesus. I can't finish all the work I've already got to do. I now do voiceovers for a UFC channel, a car parts channel, and a law firm. John Andrew, good evening. Resonate, good evening. My lovely friend, so glad to see you. Wasn't high enough for the shit we're getting ready to partake upon. The shit that I do, every day it just amazes me that people pay me to make the shit that I make. I had to do a video about Russian fighters. And my God, if I didn't mispronounce, I said Habib wrong countless fucking times in that video and had to keep re-recording it and then cutting and pasting it into the video. Let me see if I can. Habib. Fuck, I can't even do it. I've spent all day fucking doing this shit. And I can't even fucking do it. Hold on. Let me get my script up here. Fucking. Can't fucking do it. No. You guys know how much trouble I have pronouncing names. And they in the script they gave me phonetical pronunciations. Nurmagomedov. Habib Nurmagomedov. I don't mean to make fun of his name. It's a cool fucking name. Now, I was able to do Fedor Emelianenko because I used to watch fighting back when Fedor was a thing. Did I finish running down all of the stuff we're going to talk about? Libertad. Good evening, my friend. When was I paid for Russian propaganda? That's a new one to me. I've done, I had to do an ad for like a Supreme Court justice. Do I still have that thing? In Alabama. And it wasn't because I lived in Alabama either. They just, or maybe I was listed as in Alabama at the time or some shit. I don't think I still have it. But I did a radio ad for a Supreme. Oh, there it is.
On Tuesday, we'll decide who to elect to the Alabama Supreme Court. Republican Cam Ward has been named one of the most conservative legislators, and when families of autistic children needed someone to fight for them, Cam Ward was there, and he won that fight. When loopholes were allowing violent criminals back on the street, Cam Ward wrote the bill to keep them behind bars. We need a reliable conservative on the court. We need Cam Ward.
I'm such a whore. I'm such a whore. Oh, Fedor was number 1. That was like the top 11 fighters of Russian descent. And Fedor was number 1 for sure. Based to Justin. Oh, God. No, I compromise my ethics all the time for money. That's what capitalism is. I could go work for a fucking TV station, but last time I was at a TV station, they tried to pay me $10 an hour. Ain't nobody able to live on that shit. I come over here and make $35, $45 an hour, but I ain't got no health insurance. I ain't got no job security. Well, you were here, Warlord, when Jake Jacobs was in the chat, right? And I was ready to go conservative. I told him, I'll do the ARC. I'll move to Wisconsin. Did I ever update you guys on that? Apparently, Jake sat everybody down in the thing. It's like 5 of them in like the management, and they took a vote on me, and it was 4-1. Jake was the only one that voted for me. Or at least that's what he told me. He probably didn't even bring it up to him. Lying sack of shit. You can't trust a right winger. Oh God, let's kick it off tonight. I didn't want to talk about Russia again tonight because we did so much about it last night. But Prigozhin, the Wagner leader, who has now been exiled to Belarus, has given comments. So I felt it pertinent that we listen to what Prigozhin has to say.
We begin this hour in Moscow, where senior Russian officials are calling for unity behind Russian President Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, it followed a short-lived mutiny by the Wagner Group's mercenary troops over the weekend. The Russian defense minister appeared on tape today following the uprising, and the military's tensions with the leader of the Wagner Group hit a fever pitch over the weekend, resulting in the mercenaries leaving Ukraine to seize a Russian military headquarters before marching toward Moscow.
The Kremlin made a deal with the private army, giving them amnesty and safe haven in Belarus in order to prevent a potential crisis in Moscow. President Biden says the U.S. will continue giving Ukraine the support it needs, but did not orchestrate the situation.
We made clear that we were not involved. We had nothing to do with it. This was part of a struggle within the Russian system. I also talked at length with President Zelensky of Ukraine. I'll be keeping in contact with him. I may be peeking him later today, early tomorrow morning, to make sure we continue to remain on the same page. I told him that no matter what happened in Russia, let me say it again, no matter what happened in Russia, we, the United States, would continue to support Ukraine's defense and its sovereignty and its territorial integrity.
CBS News reporter Mary Ilyushina joins us now from Riga, Latvia, to help explain. Mary, I was reading just a few moments ago that Prigozhin has offered his first remarks explaining the weekend's events and seems to be suggesting the March on Moscow was instead a kind of protest movement.
Yeah, good afternoon. He said essentially that there was not a coup. He didn't want to overthrow the government, that he wanted to protest the sort of decision and the move by the defense ministry to force all Wagner fighters, which is his private army and his business, to sign with the regular army. So that would mean he would essentially have to cede control over this group that he spent years building. He said that Wagner commanders did not want to do that because, in their opinion, the military, Russian military, proven itself and performed really poorly in the war in Ukraine, and they did not want to be part of it because they regard themselves as the sort of the most elite force that Russia has. And essentially, they decided to march on after Prigozhin claimed that the defense ministry or the regular army actually hit Wagner and killed some of his fighters. That's what he's claiming. The defense ministry has denied that. But essentially he said that was the trigger for his march on Moscow.
That is one ugly man.
How much has Prigozhin's message changed over the course of weeks, months, and especially since last week? And what does the rebellion, this change in messaging, tell us about Putin's own strength in Russia? Because last week it seemed to be.
I love the way she said Putin. That was so cute. Oh my God.
The rebellion, this change in messaging, tell us about Putin's own strength in Russia, because last week it seemed to be faltering.
Well, Prigozhin has been saying for months that he sort of emerged as like a really unlikely truth teller for a lot of low-rank Russian soldiers, for mercenaries and convicts that he has hired to fight in the war in Ukraine, because he was saying very similar things to Western officials and Russian liberals that Russia is not performing that well in Ukraine. Although obviously there's a key difference. He was always pledging support and loyalty to Vladimir Putin and to the cause of the war in Ukraine. So he was very much a fervent supporter of that. But that kind of changed on Friday and Saturday when he, for the first time, kind of disagreed with Putin, said that he was misled into this war. And it kind of showed a lot of fractures, a lot of internal kind of battles between different fiefdoms that Vladimir Putin has cultivated for years, and that they're not really on the same page when it comes to where this war is heading. And we also was interested to see some people in Russia being kind of warm towards Wagner fighters, especially in Rostov-on-Don in southwestern Russia, where this command post was that they have captured.
Mary Alushina, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary. Excellent job. That catches you up with the goings-on in Russia. Our good friend Prigozhin in Belarus. Let's continue with foreign affairs and head over to Germany, where, we've seen this one before. German government calls for tolerance after far-right party wins control of a country for the first time, or a county for the first time. Apparently, we've got audio of Trump incriminating himself even further. That's just broke. We'll listen to that here in a little bit. Germany's government says the country is shaped by values such as tolerance and respect, and has called for them to be upheld a day after a far-right party won control of a county administration for the first time. Germany's government said Monday that the country is shaped by values such as tolerance and respect, calling for them to be upheld a day after a far-right party won control of a county administration for the first time. Alternative for Germany, which has come under scrutiny from security services over its ties to extremists, won a runoff election on Sunday. So this is in a county, Sonneberg, which is about 112 miles east of Frankfurt. A spokesman for Chancellor Olaf Scholz declined to comment directly on the outcome of the local election, but said that it was important to take people's concerns seriously and engage in civilized discussions. Our country is shaped by values such as fairness, tolerance, decency, and respect. For the most part, there are blips throughout Germany's history where that was not true. Pretty major blips. The victory of Alternative for Germany's candidate, Robert Sesselmann, against a center-right rival was sharply criticized by anti-racism campaigners and others. Charlotte Knobloch, a Holocaust survivor and president of the Jewish community of Munich, said that voters in Sonneberg had made a dangerous decision, but added that officials at the federal and state level also bore responsibility for the outcome. Alternative for Germany, or AfD, was founded a decade ago and first entered parliament in 2017 following an anti-migrant campaign in response to the influx of refugees in Europe during the preceding years. Fascism has been on the rise in the world over the last 10, 15 years for sure. Yet another red flag waving in the air would be the flag. I know, Greece's flag is blue, but it is a red flag tonight as the far right wins big in Greek elections.
Prime Minister-elect Kyriakos Mitsotakis won re-election with an even higher share of the popular vote than he got 4 years ago. That gives him the same comfortable majority of 158 seats.
Ida, good evening.
Parliament. He promised to use it to pull Greece out of the depression it's been in since the 2009 global financial crisis.
The main thing we achieved in this election was to close once and for all the vicious cycle of division and toxicity that started a decade ago. Tomorrow we roll up our sleeves and start working hard.
Mitsotakis' first term was consumed by a series of crises. The COVID-19 pandemic, a crisis with Turkey in the summer of 2020, and the war in Ukraine. Altogether, they cost the Greek state 66 billion euros in lost tax revenue and subsidies. But they also did two things. They convinced the Greeks that Mitsotakis is a very competent manager, capable of handling difficult situations. And they seem to have convinced most Greeks that he deserves a second chance to implement his economic reform program. One businessman said he especially liked New Democracy's efforts to make Greece more efficient.
It's the party that does the least harm. This is a government that is trying to do some things. It gets stuck sometimes because Greece has a deep state that's difficult to fix.
A deep state!
Things done. The things I appreciated most were e-government and the fact that they got pensions out to people quickly.
It's New Democracy's second election win in 5 weeks. By going to the country again, the party triggered a law changing the voting system to award 50 extra seats to the largest party, making stable governments easier to form. Two right-wing nationalist parties, the Spartans and Niki, picked up 8.5% of the vote and will enter parliament for the first time. That's partly the result of New Democracy's main opposition, the left-wing Syriza party, shedding half its followers, creating a scattering of small parties, some of which may be short-lived. New Democracy promised growth and new jobs that will keep young people from leaving the country. It's likely to wonder why many voters didn't believe that pledge. Mitsotakis' message of rolling up sleeves is aimed at convincing them. John Psaropoulos, Al Jazeera, Athens.
So there you have it. The dude blamed the deep state, even in Greece. I'm assuming he's blaming the Greek deep state, not the U.S. deep state. While we're on the topic of Nazis, seems to be in vogue nowadays. Let's go to Colorado, where a gigantic piece of shit. I don't like seeing him like this. I would rather see him the way I remember him. I despise the fact that I have to look at his face like this. Because to me, his face should always look like this. This is the Club Q shooter. The Colorado Springs Club Q shooter. You will notice the heel print on his face. A drag queen stomped the shit out of him.
This is CBS News Colorado at noon. 5 life sentences plus 2,200 years in prison. That is the deal the Club Q shooter took in court this morning. I'm Michelle Griego. Patrons and entertainers of the club stopped the shooter who opened fire on November 19th.
The deal. I didn't realize that Colorado was a capital punishment state. So he's taking a deal to avoid the death penalty.
Daniel Aston, Kelly Loving, Ashley Paw, Derek Rump, and Raymond Green Vance died in the club that night. 46 others were injured. Families and victims testified for hours during the sentencing. Our Justin Adams has spent his morning listening to that testimony. And Justin, this community is still in pain.
Yeah, Michelle, we heard from the families of the victims from the Club Q shooting at the hearing this morning. And one victim simply called the Club Q shooter a monster. Anderson Lee Aldridge pled guilty to 5 counts of murder and 46 counts of attempted murder. Aldridge also pled no contest to 2 counts of bias-motivated crimes and 1 a felony and the other a misdemeanor. The defendant faces life in prison without the possibility of parole on the murder charges under the plea agreement.
I hope it's a short one.
Asked Aldridge what they did that made the suspect feel guilty of these crimes.
I intentionally and after deliberation caused the death of each victims listed in those counts. And then with the attempted first-degree murder counts with intent to commit murder in the first degree, took a substantial step toward committing murder in the first degree of each of those victims.
Very emotional courtroom as the victims of the family spoke. Jessica Farrell, whose daughter's boyfriend was killed, said, "This thing sitting in this courtroom is not a human, it is a monster." And the father of Club Q bartender Daniel Aston said of Daniel that he was a huge light in this world that was snuffed out by a heinous, evil, and cowardly act. After the hearing, we talked to someone who was inside. He said he could not give a victim statement because it was too painful to address the shooter directly.
I've had a ball of tissue paper, I gotta say, just constant crying, and for hearing from the victims' families to the victims, and as a survivor, just remembering that night as well as anybody else, it's just triggering my PTSD. It's overwhelming in so many ways.
Understandable.
The shooter was originally charged with more than 300 counts and can still face federal hate crimes. In the newsroom, Justin Adams, covering Colorado First.
And we do expect to hear from prosecutors and other investigators at 1 this afternoon. We'll stream it live on CBS News Colorado and CBSColorado.com when it starts.
Yeah, rot, motherfucker. I'm so glad they got to stomp the shit out of him before the cops took him in. I hope they deal with him inside of prison. I probably should have played a content warning before that, shouldn't I? I need to hit the content warning on this one. As well as hit the all too familiar just another day. Go to Kansas.
Yeah, KCP.
Oh, I'm sorry, Missouri.
Just after 5 p.m.
Kansas City, Missouri.
Someone that they want to speak to in regard to this shooting at 57th and Prospect. As we learn more, we will bring that to you right here on Fox 4. But a deadly and violent day today in Kansas City. In less than 4 hours, 10 people were shot. 5 people have died. The mayor saying we can't keep living like this. And for one family, the pain.
Guys, this... I go through news aggregate sites to find the content for this show. This wasn't a major headline today. I didn't see anybody post about it on Facebook. Poor Lord, Kansas City is one of the... I'm pretty sure that the city is in both Kansas and Missouri. There's a Kansas City, Kansas, and there's a Kansas City, Missouri. Like there's a Bristol, Tennessee, and a Bristol, Virginia. Sorry for getting confused.
Pain is all too real. That is the Manning family. Not only did they have to watch their son get shot, they were on the ground trying to save his life. It was here just after 4:30 this morning when Kenny Manning Sr. was thrust into a position no parent could ever imagine.
I just heard a barrage of gunfire, bullets outside. It sounded like it was I don't know, 70, 75 shots.
Bullets hitting a total of 8 people. One of those people, Nico Manning, Kenny's son.
I ran outside to get to my wife, and by the time I got out to her,
useless facts.
My son was over on the other side of the car, and he had been hit twice.
Before EMTs could arrive to the scene, Nico's mom had to do everything she could to try and save her son's life.
He was on the ground bleeding, and she was performing CPR on him, trying to revive him. You live your life, you know, as a father,
hand on the wind,
parent, you know, you protect your child, you know, and at a moment like this, you can't protect them. There's nothing you can do. You know, you feel helpless.
Nico, who had just turned 22 on Thursday, the 22nd, his golden birthday, would later die of his injuries. 2 others were killed, including a mother who would have celebrated her 28th birthday today.
Isn't your 50th your golden birthday?
Chief Stacey Graves not only responded to the scene, but took a moment to pray with families.
Not Kansas, Missouri.
As she and the mayor urged this community to stop the violence and speak up so those responsible can be held accountable.
This is a tough scene for us, for Kansas City. We have got to stop, in our city, we've got to stop settling conflict with gunfire, with firearms.
Yeah, you said Kansas City.
Conversation for a minute, and somebody else put their finger over their mouths to
seriously, Dustin.
Staying quiet. You know, I think that's regrettable.
KCPD says they have responded to this shop before for having what they described as after-hour parties. The mayor later tweeted in part, quote, "If the business knew persons would be present without security, selling alcohol and thwarting our laws, that business should be closed."
Well, let's not fucking victim blame.
Me and my wife, we're gonna have to lean on God.
You might fall over then.
His son Nico was unique and didn't have a bad bone in his body. What led to this shooting at this point in time is still unclear. As we learn more and this story continues to develop, we will bring you the latest on air and online. And right now in Kansas City, there has been more homicides this year than at the same point in 2020, which was the city's deadliest year. So if you have any information that can help police, you're asked to reach out to the TIPS hotline. That's 816-4.
Just the tips.
TIPS. Shannon.
When we get to the Trump section of the show. You think I didn't already have a Trump story that I'll just slide that one in? Come on, producer warlord. First, we gotta go to Illinois, where this is a wild one. Apparently, a mother told her 14-year-old to shoot and kill a man at a hot dog stand.
Bond set at $3 million for the 35-year-old West Pullman mother who, according to prosecutors, got into a fierce verbal argument with a Southside restaurant patron. This was Sunday night while they were waiting in line for food, the situation quickly escalating into a deadly encounter.
Was this Sparkles? Did she send Raymond to shoot a hot dog stand vendor? Because if you guys remember, we did a story on the Freak Show. God, it has been forever ago now. But there was a woman went in like a Quiznos. I want to say it was a Quiznos. Might have been a Chipotle. But she like starts waving her gun around and shit. And gets the workers to make food. And Sparkles is like, I totally understand. I'd be waving a gun around like, we go get our food tonight. Oh. Yeah, the hot dog guy, I'm assuming, is just a good worker, and fucking she was a Karen or something. I'm sure he did nothing in order to warrant being shot. But the fact that she made her son did it.
During that altercation, the defendant began texting her son.
Cook County prosecutors describing how Carlisha Hood summoned her 14-year-old son.
I'm sorry, she's not a Karen, she's a Carlisha.
Sunday night at this Maxwell Street Express restaurant at 116th and South Halstead, and then things started heating up.
The argument between the victim and the defendant turned physical when the victim punched the defendant in the head approximately 3 times.
The store surveillance video capturing the moment the 14-year-old sees his mother getting punched, investigators say, and that's when the teen allegedly pulls a gun from his pocket.
The co-defendant fired a shot at the victim inside of Maxwell, striking the victim in the back. As the victim fled, the co-defendant followed him and fired additional shots. The defendant instructed her son, the co-defendant, to continue to shoot and kill the victim.
The 35-year-old Hood, according to prosecutors, ordering her son to shoot another restaurant patron who thought the initial verbal dispute was funny, but the teen wrestling the gun away from his mother. And thankfully,
wow!
Shots fired, but the damage was done. The 32-year-old male victim succumbing to his injuries. Mother and son now facing first-degree murder charges and a host of other offenses. We'll have more coming up at 6 o'clock. At the Criminal Courts Building, Julian Cruz, WGN News.
Fucking wild. It seemed like from the story that the worker at the hot dog stand threw the first punch. Seems? I don't know. Shelly, good evening. No, we don't have enough guns in this country. I don't know that this next story involves guns, but I'm pretty certain this guy owns a gun. A Trump-obsessed trucker has been arrested for a string of wildly racist attacks. In just one of several incidents, the man allegedly tried to run a black couple off the road in a pickup truck decked out in Confederate flags and Trump stickers. Yep, that checks out. We've even got a picture of it. He's got his jeans tucked into his boots. He's wearing some kind of polo shirt, which he also has tucked into his jeans. He's got some sort of laminated like what do you call those things around your neck? He's wearing gloves. What the fuck? Why are you dressed like that, dude? Only people I've ever seen tuck their jeans into their boots are like horseback riders. What? The feds have finally nabbed a Trump-obsessed Confederate sycophant accused of sparking racial terror for well over a year in his North Carolina town. Marion Hudak, I don't know that I'm saying that correctly, a white man was arrested by the FBI in Concord on Thursday and charged with interfering with federally protected activities and the right to fair housing. Right, lanyard, that was the word I was looking for. Role-playing indeed. Interfering with the right to fair housing? The agent who led the investigation on Hudak. That's probably how you say it, not Hudak. Hudak. Nope. Warlord, there are plenty of Marions that are male. Especially like elderly. 50, 60 years old, there's some Marions. Soy boy confirmed. One incident outlined in the criminal complaint occurred in November of 2021 when Hudak allegedly egged his Mexican-American neighbor's car and told the family to go back to their country and called them fucking Mexican alcoholics. That doesn't violate POS, does it? According to the complaint, an argument ensued between Huddick and his neighbor, leading to a physical altercation, and Huddick assaulting the neighbor in the stomach, face, and back of the head. The fight also caused damage to the neighbor's car. Huddick made a threatening statement. Prosecutors also said the neighbor told police about multiple attempts Huddick made to drive him off the road and verbal attacks against his sisters, who were just 9 and 13 years old. Huddick's terrifying tirades continued into July of 2022 when he blared racist rhetoric from his truck's loudspeaker in a Sam's Club parking lot. Apparently, John Wayne, the manliest man of them all, his real first name was Marion. August of 2022, Huddick allegedly called his neighbor's mother a fucking fat-ass Mexican bitch while she took out the garbage. I promise you this is never going to end, Huddick allegedly told the woman in October of 2022. Huddick allegedly tried to run a black driver and his girlfriend off the road in his pickup truck, crudely decked out in Confederate flag paraphernalia and Trump stickers, according to the complaint. He allegedly stared down the black driver and shouted a myriad of derogatory anti-black statements, including calling the black driver the N-word. Huddick allegedly chased down the driver and his girlfriend on the road, eventually getting out of his truck during traffic to beat up on the black driver's window. Then Huddick followed the man to his apartment complex, pointed a gun at people who were nearby, and allegedly threatened to kill them while shouting the N-word. Well, I didn't enjoy his movies in the first place, Flash, but wasn't John Wayne a Nazi? The N-word. What other N-word is there? Sis? Wasn't John Wayne a fucking Nazi, if I'm not mistaken? Or at least he really liked to play one in movies and had strong sympathies towards right-wing causes, as I understand it. Speaking of Trump, as long as we're on the topic of criminality, thank you, producer Warlord. Apparently, Trump has this audio obtained by CNN. It's from a July 2021 conversation where Trump is speaking about classified documents.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, you know, against you.
Well, it started right at the
beginning. Like when Millie's talking.
DJ Dub, John Wayne trying to join the CIA is not an indication that he wasn't a Nazi.
About, you were going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Millie, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him.
Are you talking to Haberman?
Department and him. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. It's pages long. Look. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, you know. Mm-hmm. Except it is like high.
It could be any number of reporters, but like he has a really good rapport with Maggie Haberman, who he attacks constantly. But that's also with what's his name from Watergate, Bernstein. Fucking Bernstein goes, interviews Trump, like does sit-downs with him for months, writes a book, releases the book, Trump attacks the book, and then like 2 years later we hear like, oh, Bernstein sat down with Trump again. He wrote another, this has happened 3 times. 3 separate Bernstein books have come out, and Trump be like, oh, he's such a lying sack of shit, blah, 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 blah. And then he's friends with Bernstein still. It's insane. So I'm going to assume this is Maggie Haberman, who he has an incredible relationship with, even though he attacks all the time. Oh, Maggie Haberman had a falling out with him? Or did Bernstein have a falling out with... Well, I mean, everybody eventually has a falling out with Trump. Okay, Haberman had a falling out with him. Fair enough. Also, good evening, Snicks. So glad to see you. You are the sunshine of my life.
Highly confidential, secret. This is secretive.
That's what...
Look at this.
Nick's being the sunshine of my life is the reason why I had to wear sunglasses. She just brightens up the room when she comes in. Of course not, you warlord. Jesus.
And
Hillary would print that out all the time, you know.
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner.
Yeah.
The pervert.
Please print.
By the way, isn't that incredible? Though?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it. And, he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to...
So are the documents we're hearing him flip through?
See, as president, I could have did less. Now I can't, but this is classic.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. We here and I have, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
Make them diet. Make them diet. In case you guys didn't hear it, we're gonna go back and we're gonna listen to like the last 20 seconds. It's kind of a blip there, but he literally says, when I was president, I could declassify them. I can't do it now.
Trying to
declassify.
Figure out
As president, I could have declassified. Now
we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
declassified.
figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so. We here and I have. And you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
it's incredible, right?
No,
hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
I love that they left that on. They could have cut the audio off, but they had to leave the bring some Cokes in, please. So the trial is supposed to start on August 24th. Oh God, Warlord's being a dick, and he's like saying the jury is going to save Trump and save the country. No, not Coca-Cola. That was not audio of Don Jr. Trump Sr. does not like the cocaine. We have multiple stories where he would bring women to the port because he doesn't do drugs. He doesn't drink. Weirdo. Another reason you shouldn't trust Trump. But he would bring women to the parties to be like, oh, there's all kinds of coke. There's all kinds of alcohol. Be sure to do it. Do the coke. But he didn't personally do it himself. But he wanted to get the women high. Wanted to entice them with the offer of drugs. Lazy bastard. So this is interesting. Apparently, Matt Gaetz held a hearing about January 6th, and we're going to hear from a reporter who went on CNN to discuss how being in that hearing was like being in backwards world. It was like everything was upside. She went through the looking glass. Everything was upside, or he went through the looking glass. I don't know. It's a New York Times reporter.
Of the attack on the Capitol. Witnesses included January 6 defendants, conspiracy theorists, and Jeffrey Clark, one of the officials within the Justice Department, pushing to pursue unfounded claims of voter fraud in the weeks after the 2020 election. Our next guest,
Noel Castor, said he did do drugs. Now, as I understand it, he does legal drugs. He's one of the, Hitler was the same way. Hitler despised street drugs, but was totally cool if a doctor put it in you. Same thing with Elvis. Elvis tried to get deputized by Nixon because he wanted to go out and shoot drug dealers in Memphis while the motherfucker was high as hell.
Who covered the hearing for the New York Times, writes the 30-minute event was a through-the-looking-glass alternative to the damning case against the former president, but it's quickly becoming a central issue in presidential politics. And New York Times Magazine's Robert Draper joins us now. Robert, it's a great piece. I'm just curious, when you were at that hearing, what was it like being in the room and listening to what they were saying?
It was like being in an upside-down world. I mean, it's, and also, Jim, their narratives shapeshift, even within a matter of seconds. Either the January 6th, what took place there was basically peaceful, or it was violent, but it was an Antifa kind of violence, or it was set up by the FBI, thus a fedsurrection. And so it's a little maddening to keep up with all this, but basically their point of view is that they are politically persecuted. There's a two-tier system of justice, but it's not to say well-off whites versus people of color. It's the ruling class versus Trump supporters.
And it's easy to dismiss this as a fringe right-wing movement, but it sounds like you think that's a mistake.
No, it's the Republican Party.
Look, they are much like the far right that really controls the action in the House of Representatives. They're the tail that wags the dog in terms of the fact that 58% of Republicans now believe that the phrase peaceful demonstration much more aptly describes what took place on January the 6th than violent insurrection. For that matter, the two leading candidates for the Republican nomination, Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, both have indicated that they might give pardons to January 6 defendants. So there is definitely they are definitely shaping that narrative, regardless of what one thinks of their views. They've attained a certain significance.
And it appears, I mean, this is just baked in now. The former president and his allies have supporters who are just not willing to listen to reality. And I'm just curious, I mean, many of them see these January 6 defendants as the victims. Even if you show them the video from January 6th that day, even if you show them the injuries that were sustained by Michael Fanone and Harry Dunn, Sergeant Gunnell, so many of the others that we've had on this program and others, they won't listen to reality. They just don't think that
they don't, because
those injuries were sustained.
Well, because it fits into a greater narrative of persecution that a lot of Trump supporters feel, both about themselves and about the former president.
But I guess I'm just wondering, do you say to them, hey, what about this video? What about all that violence?
You can try, but then they'll say
it just doesn't.
Well, they'll say that video's been that video's been tampered with. I've got a video that beats your video.
Yeah.
It's
no, Libertad. What the hell?
I mean, there's essentially. Again, their excuses shapeshift, but overall the narrative remains the same, which is that, what President Trump says goes, and what he says was that was a peaceful, loving protest.
And what does this say about the upcoming campaign?
Well, I mean, I think that there are establishment Republicans that hope like hell that this particular subject does not get discussed. They think it's not good for the party, not good for business, because the general electorate recognizes what the video has shown us, that it was a violent insurrection. But in the primaries, I think
that's another thing. Like, I keep trying to explain to right-wingers, like, you sound crazy to normal people. When I have conversations with them, I try to use the Socratic method and talk them through things by asking questions. But they don't even like, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Happened to me earlier. Dude was arguing with me about Emma Viglin's appearance on the Majority Report. Let me show you this thread. It's a perfect fucking example. So Emma did her thing and everything. So Dawn's Herald here said, my mission was complete. Polite conversations aren't usually described as missions, but that's not really what you were there for, was it? No, it wasn't. She was very open about wanting to confront his rhetoric. She didn't say she was going for a polite conversation. So Moose on the Loose over here, she's a pathological liar like every leftist. It seems you wear it as a badge of honor for some reason. What did she lie about? Tim got caught in a pretty huge lie about a shooter watching Sam. You gonna call that out? G.I. Goober? I cracked myself up. She got fact-checked in real time several times. If you can't realize that, then you're just a cultist. What did she get fact-checked on? One of the things that always amuses me is that idiot right-wingers love making claims and can't back them up. Okay, so you're just a cultist, not taking the bait. Like, seriously, dude, you're incapable of even making an argument. You people have zero self-awareness. And so this one responds back, no sense in arguing with people that have no intention of listening. She got fact-checked on the neo-Nazi fan. Dude wasn't even subscribed to Tim. No, she didn't. That's not a fact check. She said the Nazi watched him, and he did, because he did. And I went and looked at those screenshots. You can't see the subscribed button in them. So I don't know how it is that Tim thinks he wasn't subscribed to the channel. I went and looked at the screenshots again, and it didn't say whether he was subscribed or not. You don't see the button in the screenshots. Am I mistaken on that? Did I have the wrong screenshots? So, and no response. Like, it is impossible to talk with these people. They don't live in reality. It's like the dude that came to my page. This Chris guy. Dustin, you may have seen him. He's swinging from my nuts all day, every day. I promise you, I've got like 5 fucking notifications from him since I've been on this stream. So one of the first things he came and argued with me about was like, oh, you're okay with a drag queen flashing his dick at a 10-year-old and saying it's not going to suck itself. And I was like, that never fucking happened, dude. So I showed him. What he was talking about was an ice cream shop that held a drag show that had a sign on the wall that said it's not going to lick itself because it's an ice cream shop. He is indeed a whack job. He gonna learn today. He got really creepy with me today. He gonna learn today. Or it might be tomorrow when he goes into work. Why you fuck with a dude that proudly wears the title of troll? I'm probably a lot better at this than you are. I promise you.
Hey, Justin, are you trolling?
So that's the reason why I just break down and call right-wingers morons. There's no winning them over. You can't reason somebody out of a position they didn't come to rationally to begin with. So I don't know how we get out of this situation.
That Donald Trump is going to be pushing this narrative as much as he can, and I think Ron DeSantis and others will find some way to draft onto it. If they don't totally buy into it, they'll at least say, well, the Democrats are being hypocrites. They didn't penalize Black Lives Matter and Antifa demonstrators in the summer of 2020. They'll engage in some kind of whataboutism.
Yeah, and if
yep, that as well.
It's in the Republican field. Don't kowtow. I mean, I think that's one of the other takeaways from your story. Don't kowtow to these beliefs, these conspiracy theories. They're just not going to get.
And then that is something I really want to point out is I saw several right-wingers on the topic of Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito and they're being bought and paid for by billionaires. Apparently, Nancy Pelosi issued a statement about Alito. And the right-wingers, rightfully so, said that, oh, Nancy's one to talk, Miss Insider Trading Nancy. And they got a point. That's why that is what disgusts me so much about Democrats, is I should be able to step in and... Because Nancy Pelosi is right to criticize the Supreme Court, but she is also corrupt. It is nowhere near the level of corruption of the Supreme Court. It's not the same type of corruption. More of your run-of-the-mill general insider trading yuck that generally encouraged inside the walls of Congress, it seems. However, like, the right-winger had a point on that one. It is hypocrisy for Nancy Pelosi to say something, and I don't know how to counter that. It would be nice to not have Democrats in power that have that kind of a blind spot, but you got to go to battle with the army you have, not the army you want, right, Rumsfeld?
Get a lot of traction with the base.
That's what.
And are these folks the base?
Yes. That's what we've been seeing overall, Jim. I mean, that the most politically active, the loudest voices in the room, the Republican grassroots, are people who believe that January the 6th was, take your pick, either inspired by Antifa or the feds or was nonviolent, and that in any event, the people who are behind bars right now shouldn't be there.
All right, Robert Draper, you've given us a lot to think about and ponder as we head into this campaign cycle. Thanks very much, Robert. Really appreciate it. All right, and new development.
I don't want to loathe Pelosi. She makes it hard not to loathe her. I want to look at her as, a glass ceiling shattering. Like, I was very much one of those people that was like, oh, you want an Italian grandmother to come clean everything up in 2006 when they took the House during the Bush administration. So, like, at that time, Nancy Pelosi was the right person for the job. This is 2006. She's not the right person for the job now. She should have been gone a long time ago. Very much overstayed her welcome, so I don't want to loathe her. But she makes it incredibly hard not to. That's all the politics we have for tonight. Amazingly enough, we're gonna go back to some wild. Well, unless you consider Dan Bongino getting thrown out of restaurant politics. Gonna go back to some more tragic stories here. Insider trading takes work. Well, she has honed her craft over the last 30 years. A tanker truck. Last night we did a train carrying sulfur in Colorado. Tonight it's a tanker truck carrying ammonium nitrate in Maryland.
Breaking news that we are following this morning. Authorities say a tanker truck.
Damn right, resonate.
Ammonium nitrate overturned in Hagerstown Monday. This is in Maryland. This happening just this morning, prompting the evacuation of nearby businesses. The crash happened around 6:15 this morning. That's Eastern Time, along southbound Interstate 81, north of Halfway Boulevard. If you are familiar with that area, Maryland State Police say nearby businesses within 1,500 feet of the scene have been asked to evacuate. Detours have been established, forcing northbound I-81 traffic to exit onto Halfway Boulevard. So a lot of arrangements being made in that neck of the woods to avoid this area. So if you do happen to be in this area, you want to stay completely away from this. And you can see in the shot, this is a live look at this right now from overhead, that you can see the exit where this is. So this is an area.
There's no fire or anything, so that's good.
That area. So not a lot of details known at this point. This did happen a few hours ago. So this information I have here is from our Fox 5 Washington, D.C. team. That's the latest. So we'll bring you any new details as we do find those out. But I think what we'll do at this point is take our third commercial break of the hour, and we're going to come back and talk about the...
I'm assuming this was some kind of a rollover crash. He's coming off of the road from down here and rolling that way, because that's... How'd that truck get there is a good fucking question. I guess I'd need to see the rest of the road to really determine. Listening to audio, it's kind of a close-up shot. So it's hard to really make out how it could have got there. The guardrail looks to be intact, but that's not the part of the guardrail that would be missing based on the trigonometry I did in my head. Who am I fucking kidding? I can't do trigonometry. I suck at math.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 and 2/3%. I got 141 and 2/3 chance of winning.
maybe the safety inspector that was supposed to inspect this roller coaster in Sweden, maybe they sucked at math too, and that's the reason why a roller coaster derailment. We're suffering with train derailments over here in the United States. They got a roller coaster derailment in Sweden, 1 dead, multiple injured. Apparently we're seeing video of the coaster stopped. In Stockholm, Sweden. We look up and see a huge part of the wheel assembly falls from the carriage. Like down from the sky, it bounces off the ride. Then the carriage stops and people fall out of the carriage. Park officials said one of the carriages on the Jetline roller coaster derailed and caused people to fall.
Precis.
It was just the opposite of what you expect when you go to an amusement park. To have a fun day with the family, with friends, and then something like this happens. I'd probably be a lot more into roller coasters if it wasn't for the fact that I know how companies like to skip on safety measures, on construction, on regulations. We see it time and time again, and that's in Sweden. They probably take really good care of their shit over there. So, Justin hasn't been on a roller coaster in many years, and I don't know if you could ever get me back on one. We have far too many stories of companies cutting corners in order to save a buck. So, allow me to give you a little meme here. Get another meme for the show. This is an Insider Business article. OceanGate said the Titan submersible would have taken years to get approval, and that it says innovations, but we have crossed innovation out, and we have written in profits. That profits often fall outside of the existing industry paradigm. The maker of the Lost Titanic sub said, innovation, we have crossed that out. Profits was the reason the vessel wasn't checked to see if it was up to industry standards. Libertad, I don't drive much. I don't drive much at all anymore. And when I was still driving, going to a lot of concerts, I was kind of developing an anxiety about it. Because, boy, I know how many bridges in this country are structurally deficient.
With the multinational inquiry already underway, this morning the U.S. Coast Guard says it's convening a Marine Board of Investigation, its highest investigative body, to figure out what caused the deep-sea disaster involving the Titanic.
Who sits on a Marine Board? Like 2 dolphins, a whale, and a blowfish?
Touring submersible Titan.
The board will first and primarily work to determine the cause of this marine casualty and the 5 associated deaths. It can make recommendations to the proper authorities to pursue civil or criminal sanctions as necessary.
Authorities say they're reviewing data and voice recorders from the mothership, Polar Prince, which chartered the sub out to its launch point, and conducting interviews with crew members. Pelagic Research Services, who helped in the attempted rescue effort, sharing these images of its remotely operated vehicle Odysseus from a recent dive. The company calling the Titan recovery missions remarkably difficult and risky. Now, experts are focusing on the submersible's carbon fiber hull, amid allegations that its owner, Stockton Rush, who was among the 5 killed in the underwater disaster.
Who's a fucking idiot. I saw somebody point this out. You can't really see it because of the Chiron, but you see that computer right there? It's screwed into the carbon fiber hull.
Was among the 5 killed in the underwater disaster, apparently ignored repeated warnings about the vessel. The company, which is closed indefinitely, says they have no additional information to share at this time.
They didn't have any external
bodies, governmental, otherwise, overseeing what they're doing.
The mother of Suleiman Dawood, the teenager who died with his father Shahzada in the Titan, opening up overnight.
And now this is like, a lot of people have been like, how can you make jokes about this? This is the one sad part about this, is that kid didn't want to go. That kid didn't have any agency about it, apparently. I feel incredibly sorry for that kid. I still don't give a shit about fucking jokes being in poor taste or some shit, because allow me to point to yet another meme. We speak in memes around here. Where's it at? Where is it at? God, I got too many orca memes. When someone gets offended over all the orca and submarine memes, I could watch real rich people drown all day. I don't give a shit about rich people. Oh, shit. Rich people yachting. And I took that personally. Sorry, I've been real big on the orca memes. Really big on the orca memes. Thanks for the canned food. Send more. Orca memes, they're up. I got many of them. I'm a bitch. I'm an orca sinking yachts just off Mallorca. I'm a sinner. I'm a whale. I'm gonna hit you with my tail. I really need to stop singing on the stream. Billionaires are food, not friends. This was my favorite meme. I don't know if I showed you guys this one. Ariel at the bottom of the sea, adding the submarine controller to her collection of whatchamacallits and thingamabobs. Oh. If you get to go back down to Ariel's place in the next Kingdom Hearts and there's a fucking controller in her little room of trinkets, I will die. Oh my god. Anyway. The woman, the mother of the kid, the only person in this whole scenario I feel any sympathy for, she is speaking out.
Saying she was originally supposed to be in the sub instead of her son.
It was supposed to be Shahzada and I going down. But then I stepped back and gave the space to Suleiman because he really wanted to go.
Christine
Whoa. He really wanted to go? I was under the impression that he didn't want to go. Holy shit. Even still, like, I feel sorry for the 19-year-old because he didn't know any fucking better. But damn, woman. Ooh. Oh. That's a tough one.
But then I stepped back and gave the space to Suleiman because he really wanted to go.
Christine Dawood also remembering her last moments with them.
We just hugged and joked, actually, because Shahzada was so excited to go down. He was like a little child. I missed him. And I really, really missed him.
And investigating officials say there were 41 people on board the support ship Polar Prince when it set sail on June 18th, including some family members of the victims like Christine Dawood, who you just heard from there. Interviews with those on board are already underway by authorities. The U.S. Coast Guard says a key goal of its investigation is making recommendations to improve safety on the water worldwide.
Lots of eyes on this investigation.
Absolutely.
Hey, thanks for...
Hey, shut up, Al. Al's too happy sappy for me. A school fired a biology professor. that was Hamish Harden's kid or stepson. Hamish Harden's stepson. St. Philip's College in San Antonio, Texas, reportedly fired one of its biology professors for teaching his students that sex was determined by the X and Y chromosomes. How are you a biology professor if you didn't already know that ain't the fucking case? You know what, Snicks? I don't even like Blink-182. Maybe even border on like the despised Blink-182. But I would rather see Blink-182 than see the Titanic. All the small things. And apparently Blink-182 kind of sucks now. Like, you know, they ain't very good at playing their songs. Someone else that's not very good at playing their songs is Lana Del Rey, and we're going to talk about that here in just a couple minutes. Not that she's bad at doing her songs, but just like she didn't get there in time. First Liberty Institute, a law firm that defends religious liberty for Americans, sent a letter to the community college on behalf of the professor, Dr. JustinFREAKIN, demanding the institution reinstate him after he was fired in January of 2023. I don't know why, because he was fundamentally wrong. We've gone over this numerous times. Even if you want to make some bullshit religious argument that you can't acknowledge trans people's existence or whatever the fuck, stupid bigot, you're a biology professor. You know there are at least 7 different combinations of the XY chromosomes, and that chromosomes can't possibly be what determines your biological sex. It's one of the many inputs that go in to determining your biological sex. When teaching the human reproductive system, Dr. Varkey also stated that human sex is determined by chromosomes X and Y, and that reproduction must occur between a male and a female to continue the human species. First Liberty stated in its letter, in the course of teaching human anatomy and physiology, he made these statements in every class for 20 years without any incident or complaint. Well, he is wrong. On November 28, 2022, 4 of Varkey's students walked out of this class when he stated that sex was determined by the XY chromosomes, just as he had dozens of times before. Complaints against Varkey said he is engaged in religious preaching, discriminatory comments about homosexuals and transgender individuals, anti-abortion rhetoric, and misogynistic banter. Sounds about right. I would guess that is actually what he did. That had nothing to do with like, oh, it's determined by the X and Y chromosomes. They tried to hide behind this veneer of, oh, it's just science. We're just following the science. The fantastic Scientific America blog. Stop using phony science to justify your bigotry. Despite the fact that Dr. Varkey taught from school-approved and science-based curriculum, St. Philip's College claims his teaching was religious. First Liberty argued his teachings were supported by his education and experience in the field, as well as his religious beliefs, but throughout his employment he never discussed with any student his personal views, religious or otherwise, on human gender or sexuality. I assure you, when I was in college, the professors that were of a right-wing bent were open about it. The professors who were Christian were very open about it. I almost dropped my astrology class. No, astronomy. Astrology is woo. Astronomy is science. I almost dropped my astronomy class because I walked in and the first day the professor's like, my name is Professor Ignis, I'm a Christian. And I'm like, well, fuck you. That's the first thing you're going to say to me? But no, he was awesome. The class was awesome. I wouldn't have had any other professor took him for astronomy too. But that one statement that he came out like, oh, I'm a Christian. Why you got to throw that in my face for, motherfucker? I don't give a shit, especially not in the context of this fucking class right now. It made me think you were going to be a nut job and not actually teach me science. But all the professors that I would guess, because I'd have to guess, my literature professor took me to the side and told me she campaigned for Obama. This was like a private conversation between she and I. other than that, like my philosophy professors, goddamn, I couldn't tell you for sure what their personal beliefs were. And they went to great lengths. The professors I would assume are the raging commie liberals. Oxymoronic statement if there's ever been one. The raging leftist commies. I'm getting tongue-tied. Maybe I'm tired. Maybe I'm frazzled. I don't know. I've been playing too much Final Fantasy. The ones of the left side of the spectrum that I would assume are on the left side of the spectrum took great care to remain as neutral and impartial as possible. They took a lot of classes in, American government philosophy and shit. First Liberty said the college is participating in unlawful religious discrimination in employment under the First Amendment and Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Matter of fact, when I learned one of my professors was a Methodist preacher, flipped me the fuck out. I do not know how far it is to the sun. I know how far it is to the moon. It's 250,000 miles to the moon. I knew that because that's how many miles I put on my Toyota Tacoma, and I thought that was funny. I had driven it far enough to have gone to the moon. I have no clue how many miles it is to the sun. Fucking far. Like, it'd take you a really long time to get there. Couple days. Not as far as like Jupiter. Then again, I don't know. Maybe the distance between Earth and Jupiter is shorter than the distance between the sun and Earth. That's possible. I don't fucking know. I'm bad at math.
But then you take my 75% chance of winning and then add 66 and 2/3%. I got 141.
Yeah, I took astronomy because, stars, that'll be fun. All astronomy is doing these big ass fucking equations to measure how far away these goddamn planets and other solar systems are. Is it a couple days? Was I right on that? Or am I wrong? God damn it, now I gotta look it up. It is 94 million miles. It would take 19 years to reach the sun on a plane traveling 885 kilometers an hour. So I was way off. Way off. Couple of days. I said a couple days. 19 years to reach the sun on a plane traveling at 885 kilometers an hour. 177 years to drive at 60 miles per hour. 177 years to drive at 60 miles per hour to the sun. So a couple of days. I'm fucking stupid. Oh, anyway, and I took astronomy. And somebody's looking up like Dr. Ignis on Rate My Professor right now. It's like, this dumbass you taught clearly didn't learn anything in your astronomy class. It takes 18 months just to get to Mars. I should have known that. I've seen The Martian. Ah, God. I love you guys. Fair enough, Snicks. I try not to be judgmental. I try to know the limits of my depths. The depths of my limits. Fuck, I don't even fucking like I'm the one that's into the word shit, and I'm into the word shit. I'm sorry, I'm slap happy. Did I put more pot in my bowl? I'm not high enough for this. Oh, anyway, content warning. People gonna die, but it's a wild video for you to watch, though. This is a tornado in Indiana.
I think it's gonna miss us.
That's one of your bad boys right there. Jesus. Usually the worst of tornado season is in the spring, so hopefully we're past the worst of it, and it has been a pretty active tornado season. However, we could be with the El Nino and all the crazy weather we're having. It's going to be like an exceptionally hot summer. We could be in for a really rough fall when it comes to tornadoes. Really hope not, because those suckers are devastating. All right, let's go something a little more lighthearted going in here. How about that? You guys like Dan Bongino? Dan Bongino was reportedly forcibly removed from a Miami bottle service club. Can someone tell me what a Miami bottle service club is? A bottle service club? Is this some bougie shit I have no clue about? Conservative firebrand Dan Bongino was photographed over the weekend as he seemed to be thrown out of an Italian restaurant. Politico reported the former Fox News host was forcibly removed from Casina Palm Beach by several restaurant employees after an incident around midnight on Friday. Reporter Daniel Lipman produced a photo of Bongino being physically ejected from the premises. The nature of the incident is unclear, though Politico reported that it happened after Bongino ordered bottle service at Casina. Oh, you gotta buy a premium priced bottle to get in. Interesting. When asked for comment, Bongino told Lipman, "That's an absolutely fascinating take on what really happened. Does Politico support physical violence against women? You'll have to tune in to my podcast on Monday for the real story." Well, it's Monday, isn't it? Right. Bond. Hold on, let me go to Twitter, see if I can find something on Twitter. I would love to hear what he had to say today. Dan Bongino apparently stands with Tucker. I'm seeing a lot of the very end of his show. Okay, so let's go to Rumble. Get the happened straight from the horse's mouth here.
The idea was the most dangerous thing around. So why aren't we trying to find out who the Patriot Front is? So there was a Patriot rally this weekend, and the Patriot Front decided to show up, and they thought they were going to join actual patriots. Yeah, that didn't work out too well for the Patriot Front. And if you'll notice, they got their masks pulled off. And I want you to watch how quickly the guy who gets his mask pulled off plunges his hands in front of his face because he doesn't want to be seen on camera. Strange, right?
Was he Antifa?
Proud of your bizarre work if you were a deranged white supremacist, right? Not running from the cameras?
If you're a deranged white supremacist, your employer probably going to fire your ass.
Like it's some kind of an act and you don't want to be exposed as being an actor in some real-life docudrama?
Oh, he's an actor.
Get the fuck out! Get the mask up! T-mask up! T-mask! Yeah! T-mask up!
T-Mask! The way you talked about my baby is fucking disgusting. Do not talk to me like
T-mask!
T-Mask! T-Mask! Take the mask off! You guys are taking the
T-mask!
You guys are taking the streets back, aren't you?
Oh, yeah, that's totally an incel. All these are incels. It sounds like there was some sort of incident, talking about brother or sister or some shit. There was some sort of incident between them. This is some kind of personal strife.
You fucking racist piece of shit! Come on, come here! Fuck you, Nazi!
Oh, okay, guys, let's go back.
You're all Nazis.
It's so strange how you're not seeing this all over the media, right?
Yeah.
Racist white supremacists confronted by actual Americans, exposed, but you haven't heard anything about it.
No, I don't think that's what that video showed.
FBI and Merrick Garland do a big press conference or anything like that? So strange, right?
Not really.
The media finds itself in a bad spot right now on social
meat cakes.
This weekend. They don't know what to do. Do they condemn the Patriot rally guys for going after the Patriot Front, who they said are white supremacists? Or do you go on the record defending a bunch of people you swore were white supremacists who you don't want to identify? They're like, we don't know what to do. It's like two red buttons. I'm glad we're closing the show like we opened it. Bongino rule. Give it 24 to 72 hours. Take it all in before you draw a final conclusion on anything. And if it involves Trump, sometimes up to a week. Because you're probably being lied to about a lot of things. In my case, even my own life.
Oh, here we go.
It's part of this. Hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. Is that a new record for us? 67,800? It's close.
All right.
67,800 on a Monday in summer. You guys are awesome. I love having you here. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here every day.
Wait.
11 a.m. I go live, rumble.com/Bongino. Set up an account, download the Rumble.
Wait, I thought you were gonna talk about your dinner.
We appreciate your input on that. If you want to join the chat early, Justin and Guy are here early at 10 a.m.
I am not.
How's your weekend, bud? You all right?
Hey.
Did you do it at the beginning?
How about you?
Guy, Justin, anything exciting? Yeah, nothing happened here either. It's boring.
I played Final Fantasy.
I got some updates for you. Just remember, ladies and gents, the Bongino rule applies. Wait 24 to 72 hours before you draw any final conclusions about a story, because the first version is typically bullshit. So the Bongino rule even applies when it comes to stories about Bongino. I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you the genesis of how a fake news story works today. Conclusive, but this is it.
I'm down. Roadmap. Give me conclusive proof.
It creates a story out of a non-story, just like that. Got a big show. A lot of going on, too. We get this Russia coup story, which, again, everybody hold on this one. Take a big pause, process, and then we'll generate some output. Big show today. Today's show brought to you by Birch Gold. All central banks in countries like China
it is never a bad idea to take a moment and think about what you're going to say. That's true. I'm not against the Bongino rule.
At the end, it's about, I don't know, 11:20, 11:30 or so. I'm sitting there. We've been having a good time for like an hour and a half or so. They ordered a bottle service for my friend because it's her birthday. So I pick up the tab because she had paid for dinner. It was the right thing to do. Leave the lady a nice tip. Everybody's happy. Actually gave her some cash afterwards too. I don't know. I declare it. That's up to them. I don't know. It's not my problem, right?
What?
So we're getting ready to leave. Everybody's getting ready to walk out. Again, nothing interesting. My story can't have the bong thing. So we're getting ready to walk out. And I look next to me over my shoulder and I see this ruckus. And I see this guy. He's got this woman like in a bear hug, dragging her out of this place. Like in a bear hug. Like this is like UFC style. And I'm like, what is that about? Now, because I'm kind of looking this way, all I see is a hand, because this is a pretty big dude. And all I see is a hand, and I notice, gosh, that bracelet looks familiar. That's Paula's bracelet. I'm like, what the? So, of course, by the time I process what's going on, because it's not a big place, the guy's already outside and put Paula down, thankfully. I thought he was going to slam her on the ground or something, the way this was going down, right? Because this was not nice. This was
his wife?
Kind of thing. Now, keep in mind, I've been with this woman 20 years, right? We've never, ever been thrown out of a bar. My family used to own a bar. I'm not virtue signaling, but we leave big tips.
Yeah, you are.
Like
you totally virtue signaling.
You can vouch for that. Because it's the right thing to do, right?
Honey, I hate to tell you, but that flag behind you, that flag on your shirt, that little miniature flag you're waving down there in the bottom of the screen, that flag on your fucking mic flag, the flag in your logo, all that is virtue signaling. That is all right-wingers ever do, is virtue signal. You have no policy. You may not realize it, but when you talk about, taking a stand against Bud Light, you are virtue signaling. Idiots. Right-wingers are morons.
Right? So, of course, this thing, I'm screaming at this guy, like, get your hands off my wife. Like, obviously, right? You're going to defend your woman. But we got to go because I realize this thing's going to, we don't want to, you know how it is. Unfortunately, when you got a public name, everything turns into a thing. So we get in this bus, me and these few couples, and we take off, right? So we leave. I figured it's only a matter of time before somebody, of course, gets a picture of this. And the next day, someone, Littman or somebody from Playbook reaches out. So this is the genesis of how fake news works. It applies to this Russia story, too. So the next day, this guy texts me. So I tell him, listen, that
if we take at face value what Bongino just told us, then what we read, it wasn't in Politico. We were on Mediaite, I think. But they were citing Politico. The reporting from Politico and Littman was accurate. It sounds like your wife was thrown out of a bar and that you went with her. So, I don't know what you're talking about, fake news.
That's basically not what happened. Like, that's a fantastic version of events because he's telling me, I hear you were thrown out. I wasn't thrown out of anywhere, okay?
Your wife
I just
was.
want to be clear on
Your
that.
wife was.
So I'm not going to give this guy the story because he's from Bullshitico, known as Politico, and they do nothing but lie. So I said, you can wait. I'll tell the story on my show when I got a few minutes on my show, and you can hear what actually happened. Of course, he couldn't wait. Littman or whatever his name is. I've seen this guy on Newsmax, kind of a tool. I mean, really.
Like, you guys are hearing this right. He didn't say that his wife was thrown out, but he described his wife being thrown out of a bar. Oh, shit.
It's off as like kind of a goofball. But at Politico,
you come off as a goofball.
Spotted conservative media personality, a former Fox News host, Dan Bongino, getting forcibly removed from Cucina, Palm Beach by several restaurants. Forcibly removed. So, of course, now the story's set that I was forcibly. Now, keep in mind, none of this is actually true, but that doesn't stop him from writing the story. Now, this is the text I sent back.
By your own fucking admission.
Monday for the real story. But because
it was all true.
And the fake news people have to put out a clickbait story. They have to get the narrative out early. You see how this works? You guys all catching here? The story's got to be that I did something that I was forcibly removed for. Now,
Oh, it was your wife. It was your wife. So we apologize.
but the bottom line is, did you notice they never tell you why I was forcibly removed? Now, Lippman could have done some.
You didn't tell us either.
Whatever. Lippman could have actually done some homework. Someone sent him a picture and asked. But because they want the story out that the conservative guy was forcibly removed, this sets that now they can all report on this. So you see how it sprouts like a chia pet? So this is just minutes before this happened, by the way. This is Joe out of control. This is me and Paula. Justin, how out of control are we in this?
Totally out of control.
Violently. That's a video I took on my phone of me and Paula. This is just probably, 20 minutes.
You look like a fucking creep, dude. I would be scared if I saw you over in the fucking corner acting like that.
Before this happened?
Like
totally
a freaking maniac.
I know. I don't know how clearly. I mean, just totally foaming at the mouth, wetting myself. That's just, definitely get him out. So we're still trying to figure out, what the hell happened? Bottom line is, Paula was on the line for a bathroom, to go to the bathroom. The guy's like, she's on the wrong line or whatever. It was just a total miscommunication. And the guy decides to bear hug my wife and drag her out. So lefties think this is hilarious.
No.
You see, reportedly, you see how it works? Get the story out, Lippman, without doing any homework on this at all or waiting. Get the story out first. And then
They're saying reportedly because they are citing Politico, who reported it. This is just you using, wiggle words and being suggestive to your audience. This is this weird sleight of hand.
Everybody else gets to report it. If this was Hunter Biden getting dragged out, they'd be like, heroic Hunter Biden, chivalrous King Arthur Hunter defends woman from attack.
Man.
Not me. With me, I was forcibly removed. None of this actually, and I love this Mediaite, from a Miami bottle service club. All Mediaite had to do was put in a search engine, Cucina. It's not in Miami. It's in Palm Beach. They can't. All you had to do was.
Same shit, different day.
Bro, that's all you had to do.
It's just like fucking Kansas City isn't in Kansas. It's in Missouri.
Story's got to jump on it too. Dan Bongino caught being thrown out of a Palm Beach restaurant. At least they got the location right. Sarah Burris. Folks, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. I was not thrown out.
God, I hope we hear from the restaurant.
Some video of this surfaces.
Oh, he's praying.
There'll be a lot of deleted tweets, I'm sure, afterwards. I've got to take some actions afterwards, of course. But if you saw what really happened, I think you'd be stunned. But that's the media.
I'm stunned right now, dude.
That's why the Bongino rule applies, even about Bongino. Could have waited. Could have waited to hear the story before you actually report on it. But they don't want to wait.
Buddy, we take what you said at face value. It still happened the way they reported it. You're just trying to soften the blow. You're a very weak man. I apologize.
Because I'm a conservative, the story automatically is that somehow I was thrown out of a Miami bar. None of that is
As a
actually
conservative,
true.
it's getting harder and harder to not look like a
And if someone's
kook.
got video of that, I strongly encourage you to put it out there. And I think you'll see a totally different story. I shouldn't say that they won't delete tweets. They don't even care. They think it's funny.
I know right-wingers never delete their fucking tweets when they get called out. Now, I hope we hear from the restaurant. I hope we hear from the restaurant on this one. You guys like Lana Del Rey? What's your favorite Lana Del Rey song? Mine's Lolita. Born to Die is fun. Fun. That's not a fun song. It's a good song. Smoking on the Beach. What the fuck is that one called? I like that one an awful lot. High on the Beach. That's what it. Get high on the beach. Get high on the beach. The View hosts slam disrespectful Lana Del Rey over a late Glastonbury set. I told you guys I was watching the clips of Glastonbury last night before the Troll Patrol started, and Lana Del Rey is one of them I watched. Watched her do Born to Die. Apparently, her hair took too long to do after the singer-songwriter showed up late for her weekend Glastonbury performance because her hair took too long to do. The co-host of the long-running talk show went in on the disrespectful behavior. I'd like to try that. Yeah, we're late. We didn't come on time today because our hair took too long to do. Whoopi said at the table as she discussed Lana Del Rey's lateness. By the way, I can't play clips of The View anymore. I was going to. But it's a thing, I guess. I don't think this video is as good as the other video I've got. Yeah, hold on. I got a better one. I got a better one of this. So this is her actually telling the crowd why she was so late coming on at Glastonbury.
So fucking late that I am about to rush this set today. If they cut power, they cut power. I'm super fucking sorry. My hair takes so long to do. I love you to death. Skip Venice. And then we'll do just going to die.
So apparently they cut her mic off. Ma'am, exactly how did your hair take so long to do? Your hair isn't anything special. I like Lana Del Rey's music. I have a feeling I would not like Lana Del Rey at all. She doesn't seem like the kind of person that I would get along with. Super talented. Even like the subject matter in her songs makes me feel like I wouldn't really like you all that much. Her hair took too long. What? What about her hair was so special that it would... Why would that hair take so long? I assume if she's the last, like, you were a headliner at Glastonbury, one of the biggest festivals in the world. There were like 200,000 people there. There are 5 fucking stages. Foo Fighters rocked out. Queens of the Stone Age was good. I only got to see like a song from each of them on the BBC. I'll go back and watch the streams later and see the bands I really want to see. Rina Sawayama was really fucking good. I watched her do Excess and that was awesome. I watched The Comet Is Coming and their fucking song, like I didn't dig the song, but my God, was performance fucking cool. Who else? Oh, Rick Astley. Rick Astley was awesome. I watched Rick Astley at Glastonbury. Dude, Never Gonna Give You Up. I love, like, you can't Rickroll me, or I mean, I guess I encourage you to Rickroll me because I really enjoy it. I really like Never Gonna Give You Up. It's like one of my favorite songs. I like the other one. What's that other song he did? He had a couple of hits. God, I can't think of what it is right now. I'm sorry. I was a little underprepared. I didn't have a animal video ready to go. Let's do do you guys want to see a squirrel acting, or do you want to see a cow and a duck friendship? A squirrel acting, cow and a duck friendship. Lizzo was at Glastonbury. Watch her do Truth Hurts in About Damn Time. There was more. I couldn't I watched several fucking videos. Fever Ray. I got to watch Fever Ray at Glastonbury. Oh yeah, I forget YouTube. It takes fucking forever. I'm gonna pick for you guys. We're gonna do Squirrel Goes for the Oscar. Also, I've got a shit ton of... Oh, you want to do friendship? All right, friendship. Caught it just in time. You're going to love that squirrel video, though, when I eventually play that one. It is awesome. See, friendship. There is a cow and a duck. Apparently the... Yeah, it's got that stupid music under it. So the duck won't get into the water without its cow best friend. Just have to wait for your cow. Milkshake the duck and Dumpling the cow. See, Dumpling gets in the water and the duck goes right with it. Oh, they are buddies. Oh, the squirrel was real. It was a real squirrel. It is the cutest fucking thing. But this is also adorable. Look at these babies. I've never seen a cow with that cute a face. Y'all going swimming? What kind of cow is that? That's not a dairy cow. It's got a very pretty fur. Almost reminds me of like an ox or something. I'm glad they're buddies. They're besties, apparently. You guys are adorable. Alright. That'll do it for me. Go ahead, light one up. Tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol.